Welcome to the Giants Huddle podcast, brought to you by Citizens, the official bank of the New York Giants. And today we are so honored to bring back defensive back Corey Webster. 9 years with Big Blue, and he comes back to have a one-day retirement as part of this organization. Drafted out of LSU back in 2005, two-time Super Bowl champion. And I guess the first question is, Corey, besides the fact that it's so great to see you, is why was it so important to do this, and why was it so important to you that you only played with this organization and never put on another uniform?
Well, this was the organization that took a chance on me, right? When, a lot of talent come in here and they go, but I wanted to leave a mark, and I think we just talked about, being a part of that 9 years. We won 2 Super Bowls, and I think that was awesome. But to finish it with one club, I thought that was very important to me, just to show loyalty. And, that's the type of family man I want to be. That's the type of family I want to have. And so, I committed, gave those 9 years. And the Giants been nothing but great to me, you know what I mean? So I wanted to finish it here. I didn't plan it. Like I said, I didn't plan to play football. I didn't plan to play DB. So it all happened. So I didn't plan on retirement. But the significance of wearing 23, and this is the closing of the year 2023, I think that was a cool deal.
You know, it's funny, you were just telling some of the media during your conversation how over the course of your time from LSU to the Giants, you were so devoted to the game, and now you can be more of a family man. You got your family here. Yes. I know they're looking forward to the desserts out at lunch already. But what did you take from your time as the Giants? Because you said to us that you helped raise your family with the lessons you learned being a Giant. Mm-hmm. Well, maybe one or two of those things.
The big, accountability. Somebody's relying on you, and then being an accountability partner, right? Making sure that you can look yourself in the mirror and say, I set out to do those things, and I did them, right? Mm-hmm. And the discipline that comes along with that. Discipline is a word that to me means doing something that you may not want to do, but doing it with a smile on your face. So, those two things right there, it's a lot more that I can go into, but those two words right there with accountability partner, and, just having the discipline to be able to do those things, and then, focusing their attention on something positive.
All right, so I'm going to add endurance to that, because at the front end and back end of this man's career, he battled through a lot of injuries. But, boy, in the middle, it was juicy. It was really juicy. And I want to go to this, because you folks out there will always remember him for the pick against Brett Favre. But to me, it's not just that. I will go to a whole stretch in 2007. I will go back to the Buffalo game where the Giants clinched the playoffs. He had the only pick 6 of your career, I believe, right? Down the sideline?
You got it, yep.
Did you save that ball?
I got it. I have all of the interception balls. That was my little thing.
Yeah,
right?
You have them all.
I have them all, yes.
Okay.
Except for the Brent Favre one I gave, but I know where it is. Lieutenant Colonel Greg Getson has that one. I know where they all are.
Why does he have that?
Because he was a big part of what we was doing that year. You remember he used to come around, do a lot of motivational speaking, right, and keep us engaged and tell us how to be attention to detail. In their game, they lose lives, right? I was just W's and L's. So to be able to apply some of his lessons to our game, I think him, following us, and he was out there on the field in Green Bay.
Yeah.
It was negative, the windshield.
Oh, I know.
Third coldest game ever. So he was there. I thought he deserved that.
Very, very cool. All right, so I remember the Bills game when the Giants clinched the playoff spot. So he gets the only pick 6 of his career in that game. I remember what happened in Tampa. Gets a pick in the end zone, gets a fumble recovery in the playoff game against the Bucs, right? I mean, you had a roll. You had a month and a half that some guys don't have in a career, okay? And then, of course, what happens? You get the Favre pick in the Green Bay, and then what about the Super Bowl? Now, let me touch on the Favre one first, and then I want to go to Arizona. The Favre, you're covering Driver on the left side of the defense down the sideline. The ball's frozen like a shot put, okay? What was the read on the play? What was the route? What was the read? Because, in overtime, you make a mistake and you jump a route, and that guy's gone behind you. All of a sudden, you lose the game.
Yeah. Well, for me, I got messed up on a play earlier. So I was looking for that play again, to be able to respond back to that. What I mean, me and Down the Driver was jamming each other on the line. I thought it was a bit of a run play, so I thought he was swinging me and that was going to allow me to get to the running back, but it was a pass play. So remember that Driver got like a 90-yarder. Yeah. Early in the game. Yeah. So for me, I was reading him the whole game to see his breaks in and out. So I was able to get a good read on his breaks throughout the game, and then being able to come up with a big play in overtime to undercut his route. And like you said, the ball takes forever to get there. That play,
it does.
It might be 2 or 3 seconds, but it looked like it's an eternity. and I was able to make it and catch the ball that was frozen at the time.
You love turf. You're good at it. So you start a turf biz. Business grows, your savings grow. Become the most celebrated name in turf. Are you ready for all that life brings?
Giants fans love a winner. It's why they love Citizens, named a 2022 Best Bank in the U.S. by The Banker. As the official bank of the Giants and sponsor of the Huddle, Citizens is made ready for fans of Big Blue. Learn more at citizensbank.com. So how happy were you guys to get off that field with a win? Not just to win, but to get out from the cold.
That's what I was thinking. I think a lot of guys was happy to get out of there because it was cold. If you remember, in Green Bay, none of the benches was working.
Right.
We only had one flame on the sideline that was working when we normally have 2 or 3 of them. So everybody was gathered by one big flame. So I don't know if that was a coincidence or whatever was going on. So we was happy to get out there with a win, but we was happy to get off that field and get warm.
Everybody talked about the cold with Coughlin's face turning purple, right? And they were amazed at how well Eli threw the ball, all right? He didn't seem to have any trouble at all, right? What is it like for a defensive back to have cold, frozen hands?
I remember having, like, my fingers taped early in the game. And you had to take the tape off because the blood was freezing at the tips. So you couldn't have any tape on the hands and things of that nature. And that's strange. You don't even think about that. That's not even a thought. So I learned that being out there in the cold. So it's the same, just, trying to keep them as much as you can warm when it's under negative 28 shields. So same, because you're only going to get one chance to catch the ball.
Yeah.
And we had a couple of problems. I want to call the name, but remember, a DB dropped the ball a couple of times that game.
I'm not going to go there either.
So that was all in our mind to like, hey, let's get all this sleeves off so we can have, feel the ball, so we can have traction with the ball. So we did that, and we was able to come up with a pick.
How much have you talked to Favre since that time? Because a lot of people will bring that up to you, but have you ever had a chance to talk to him?
I did not. I think Rich Sorber was trying to set it up one time. He had an event going on, and I think in Wisconsin somewhere. I don't want to lie, but we just couldn't get it going. I think he had a some type of event, was a charity giveaway or something like that. He tried to set it up to bring myself in for about that. So never. He was at LSU one time to do a motivational speaking, but we missed each other that time too as well. So I never got a chance to talk to him.
Okay, so now let me go back a little bit now, just to rewind before I go to the Super Bowl, because you guys played the Patriots at the end of the season. And we all know about how the Giants gave them such a scare, and you guys felt a lot of confidence that you would then wind up winning if you played them again. From your perspective, I remember talking to Sam Madison after the game, and we had a private conversation in the corner of the room. I said, you got these guys, and he knew. He knew, and a lot of you guys knew. What was it about that game that told you you were going to beat them in a rematch?
Well, some things, like, if I don't know if we've ever said this, but that I call it the second game because we played them the last game of the preseason as well. So the second game, the last game of the season that we played the Patriots that year, I wasn't in the defensive strategies and scheme the first half because of the what was going on previous, right? So second half, I became a part of the scheme that was going on, and that's Coach Spags say, we're going to go this way, right? If you remember, they broke every record the first half of the game.
Yes.
And I'm not trying to exclude myself. I'm just giving you the thought process of what was going on in our mind. So we knew we had, and even early in the game, we busted a lot of plays. Yeah. Communication-wise. It wasn't just Imano, one man better than another man. It was somebody, 11 on a team on the same page, and we might be 9 out of 11 on our defensive team on the same page, and then Randy Moss touchdown, Brady touchdown here. So we knew how we closed that game, the second game in the second half, and took the statistics and the stats from there. We knew if we did that for 60 minutes, that we would be hard to beat, and that's what happened.
Wow. All right, so let's go to that game, all right, because it's really, for you, the very end of that game turns out to be a two-sided sword, right? Because you slip in the end zone when Moss catches the touchdown. And by the way, to that point, you had played a really good game. I mean, this is Randy Moss we're talking about, right? And all he had done was catch short stuff.
Yep.
And on that one, it's a 6-yard touchdown. You slip in the end zone. The helpless feeling you must have had at that moment, I can only imagine.
Well, I always knew the camaraderie we had built in the locker room that we never flinched, right? So Strahan, if you go see him on the sideline, we never flinched. Like, offense going to do their part. So we had them did things before, and as long as they had time on the clock, we had a chance, right? So to your point, though, This is just me randomly thinking from that game. I don't think he had caught in that up pass except for that last drive when we was in cover 2.
Okay.
So man-to-man, quarter coverage. I don't think he had caught up pass. Now they could go check and make sure I'm right. I don't. But he caught, I think, a couple of passes in cover 2, and then he caught that pass right there.
Right.
And I was kind of, in my mind, thinking like, let's just keep doing what we've been doing. I think we went to zone. It kind of softened them up, and we played that way. And we gave up the yards and just tried not to lose. But, it was one of those things, just like the Green Bay game. We had to overcome it, and we had to go out there and make a play. And we had to see how our offense brother had our back, and they went out there and did their job. So
well, and that's the thing though that makes it okay, right? Yeah. Because then Eli leads the Giants down for the winning score, hits Plexico Burress in the end zone, and then Brady gets the ball back, and now you got to worry about Moss, and they throw two bombs down the sideline. Jabril Wilson a little late coming over, but he helped you out just a little bit.
He got that. He knocked everybody down when he get there, but he got that.
So take me through now that last defensive series, if you can recall it back. What were you thinking about? You had to know that Brady was going to look to Moss.
Oh, facts, yeah. No different than the Green Bay game. I know he was looking for drivers. So I'm ready, right? The first one he launches, he put it a little too much air on it, and it goes out of bounds. And I'll tell you this, Mr. Tisch I think he was on the sideline with a skiing accident. He has crutches. And I kind of avoided him at the end. He always thanked me for that. Thank you. So that's the first play, right? So the next play in my mind, I'm thinking I'm going to intercept it. So if you go back to watch that last play, I didn't judge the ball well, but it did hit my middle finger.
Yeah, I busted him so many times about, thank God you had long fingernails that day because, my God, it was close.
Yeah, so just trying to make a play on the ball. And we was, I was able to, they call it, the fingernail, knock the ball away, PBU. So we was able to get that win.
It's funny because, while we all knew that Moss was going to be the target because he's their big play guy and Brady's got to get it to him, he just ran straight down the sideline. How did you know he wasn't going to run a post or run something else?
Film study, things of that nature, right?
Okay.
You know what I mean? Knowing, how he's, gyrations are when he's, running straight down the field, how his body's straight up and down when he's running. Just a lot of film study knows that was going to be either a skinny post or a go route, and that's what it was.
That's what a cover corner does, right? They study the keys, and you knew what he was going to do.
We studying all gyration, attention to detail to the minute. I know if them hips up high, and we seeing high knees and things of that nature, he's not breaking down and running the route or putting his foot in the ground to change direction.
Awesome stuff. All right, so now I want to recap for a few minutes, a few things now. I told you this before. I went back and I looked up a few numbers because I remember plays, I remember players, I remember games, but there were some numbers that I gotta run by you that are going to sock your socks off. Did you know that in 2008 you led the National Football League with 24 passes defensed?
Did not know that.
Is that unbelievable?
Yeah, I did not know that at all. That's the
No,
first time
and
I heard that.
I don't remember anybody making a big deal out of it at the time.
Maybe
That's pretty incredible.
Yeah, maybe because I didn't make a big. I don't know. I didn't, I'm just finding out 2023. So now I did not know that. That's good to know.
And you had two games. One game in 2008 when you were guarding Santana Moss, where you had 5 passes defensed, and then in 2009 you had 5 against Atlanta when Roddy White was playing against you.
Okay.
Do those games ring a bell for you at all?
Well, I'm gonna ask: was this the game that Santana Moss and I got in a fight? Because I would have to ask that.
I don't think it was the fight game.
Okay.
You and him got into it. I thought it was 2 years later.
I don't. So I'm saying.
But I could be wrong on that.
And I didn't know why we got into it. Because we have always been nice to each other. Me and his brother Sonaris Moss. So I didn't know. So I was thinking that may have been the reason. Why we got into a little skirmish. Because we never had any bad problems, no bad blood, never. And then we was fighting. I'm like, why are we fighting? So that may have been the start of the bad blood. He may have knew that stat, and I didn't. Okay. So I'm just trying to put some thoughts behind your numbers right here.
I know this number Corey knows. 6 interceptions in the 2011 season, which led the team.
Yeah, well,
I know you know that.
People don't let you. People tell you that. You know what I mean? I wouldn't know that, but people tell you that all the time. You had this amount. Your teammates that's counting. You know what I mean? Because I forgot who had second, but that's who remind. I never cared about numbers. I just cared about getting it done, getting those W's. So, but you have teammates that's gonna remind you, man, I had this amount, and you got more than me. You know what I mean? So, I'll say this. I learned a lot about myself when they retired my jersey at my high school. I had no idea the stuff that he read off to me.
No kidding.
He's reading. I'm like, oh, That's me.
You're ready for a change. Payday comes early with Citizens, so go to that retreat. New You moves to the country. Now you're raising goats and launching a lifestyle brand. Are you ready for all that life brings?
The Giants Huddle is brought to you by Citizens, the official bank of the New York Giants. From game day to every day, Citizens is made ready for Giants fans with insights, guidance, and solutions. Learn more at citizensbank.com. Yeah, but you see, the one thing he just told the media before this morning was that I remembered winning a championship in college and high school and winning 2 with the Giants. That stuff you remember.
That stuff I remember, you know what I mean? I guess that's the team-oriented goals. That's the stuff I remember. The individual stuff, it just goes along to help the team win. So that's the stuff I remember.
All right, let's bring this back a little bit. Pearson, how much time do we have? All right, so let me bring this back. Well, he's got a family out there chowing down at lunch. He wants to get out there. A couple more minutes.
Great.
Let me bring this back to today. Mm-hmm. The game's a little different now. They play more video game football than even when you played. What about this game today, this passing game that is so dominant in the NFL today, raises your curiosity as to how these defensive backs have to try to compete against the new rules and some of these players?
I think they have a very challenging job. And when I say that, because a lot of the rules, I'm sorry, NFL, but a lot of the rules go against the defensive backs.
Oh, we all know that.
Okay, all right.
We all know that.
I didn't know that was a common thing that we could agree. All right, so they have a challenging job. But what I also say is I don't know if they're up for that challenge. You know what I mean? To watch as much film as they need to watch to get them over the hump so they can be competitive, because the odds are against you. And I'm cool with the odds being against me as long as I know the rules. Mm-hmm. So now that I know the rules, I can go back and work with the scheme, work on individual stuff to help me get better. I don't see that enough. And that doesn't, take away from them. I think they're, very athletic, but I don't think, just me watching the game, giving my biased opinion, I don't think they put in that much time. I know the rules are against you. You can't touch, you can't do this down the field, but I think that they can overcome that because they're that talented. They have that much time on their hands, and all of the technology that they have on, receiving footage and being able to go out there. It's so much science behind this, the workouts and stuff like that now. So I would say I know it's an uphill battle, and cornerbacks, DBs are the best athletes on every field. But I think they can. I think they will too. I think they will challenge that and become better as you see football going forward.
All right, I can't let you get out of here without asking you about an LSU alum, Cordell Flott, who is playing for this team right now, and he's had a nice young career. Had some injuries himself, but this guy's got some talent, and I think Giants fans are going to be real happy to see him the next several years. What do you know about his time at LSU and then coming to the Giants?
Well, I would say this: not a whole lot, because I haven't been diving into it like I would want to be able to comment on those individual guys. But what I would say is I hear a lot with the injury going on right now. So I would love for all those guys to take care of themselves.
Yeah.
Right? I know you can't, injuries
the injury
happen.
bug is bitten us pretty hard up here.
So just be mindful. Do some prehab so you don't have to do rehab, all right? I call it the prehab so you don't have to do the rehab. So I think but all those guys got a beautiful career ahead of them. Just take advantage of all the opportunities. Make sure that you can, control what you can control and, get ahead of the curve when it comes to that prehab versus the rehab part of it.
And is that your best advice to teams who have been beset by injuries? Is that somehow you've got to head them off at the pass before they even happen?
Yes. Certain little things like ankles, you can train things. Now, things going to happen because we play a collision sport, right? Not just a contact sport. So things going to happen. But I think if you're taking care of a little attention to details in the weight room, in the training room prior to it happening, then you can be ahead of the curve. I remember I had shoulder surgery. I forget when it was, but when they checked the shoulder that I had surgery on, and versus the opposite one, when it was time to have surgery on the opposite shoulder, it was like, oh, you don't need to have surgery on it. I'm like, why? It was like, well, it looked like you've been rehabbing this one, and it's about 2 or 3 weeks based on how it looks, because you have been rehabbing it because you never stopped doing the rehab from your opposite shoulder. So that's why I can't prehab.
Okay.
You football, you play, you're going to hit with your shoulders. You're going to twist an ankle, you're going to step on somebody's foot. Those are some things that you can work on attention to details and get ahead of it. So when it does happen, become the most flexible person that you can possibly be. When it says flexibility, you more flexibility, less prone to injury.
Very cool. See, an announcer like me just has to be able to move his jaw. That's all I needed to do.
You do it well, sir. You do it well. You speak on the game. I like it.
Corey Webster, 9 years with the New York Giants, 2 Super Bowl championships. Number 23 comes back today to have a one-day retirement as a member of Big Blue. My friend, Happy New Year. Always great to see you.
Same to you. Thank you very much.
That'll do it for this edition of the Giants Huddle, presented by Citizens, the official bank of the New York Giants.